Okay, so I told you guys in my last video that I was going to be doing a double upload today. So my Friday Night SmackDown review will be out as soon as Friday Night SmackDown is over. But as of right now, this is not about wrestling. This is not about WWE or AEW or New Japan. This has nothing to do with pro wrestling. As you can see in the thumbnail, you can see in the title, we are one day away from fight night because tomorrow is the highly anticipated boxing match between YouTuber Jake Paul and former UFC fighter Ben Askren. And I've decided that, since I've been paying a lot of attention to this fight, and obviously a lot of people in the YouTube world are talking about it, I decided that, to give my predictions on it. So that is what I'm going to do today, is give you my predictions on who was going to win this fight. Now, before I get into my predictions and stuff like that, there are probably a handful of people out there who don't know who Jake Paul is or don't know who Ben Askren is. Jake Paul's a YouTuber, millions and millions of followers. I mean, just social media celebrity. Like, this guy is all above that. I mean, not just Jake Paul, but his brother as well, like Logan Paul. Which obviously, for those who didn't know, Logan Paul was the Paul brother who was in that Forest video. They got like a lot of controversy, a lot of hate. And, that was him. And Jake Paul, well, let's just say Jake Paul has always been Jake Paul. Now, my opinion on the Paul brothers, I never liked the Paul brothers. At least with Logan, like, you can tell, like, he's changed his act a little bit. Like, he is not as cringe as he was. Like, there are times where I'm still like, bro, come on. But overall, I will admit, like, Logan Paul, like, I like this new Logan Paul than I do the old Logan Paul. Now, Jake, I'm probably never going to like Jake Paul. I've never liked Jake Paul. I always thought Jake Paul was cringe. I never understood what was the hype around Jake Paul. I just never understood it. And it's crazy because this guy has millions and millions of fans, and they praise him like he's God. And I'm like sitting here thinking to myself, like, bro, there's like tons of YouTubers that are better than Jake Paul. And it's just crazy. Like, the dude's very disrespectful. He treats he just treats people like shit. He doesn't care about nobody but himself. He's just an imbecile. He's simply delusional. And the crazy thing that Jake Paul said that is absolutely laughable is that this guy thinks he is a fighter, okay? Like, he thinks that he's this big time fighter, like he's the baddest man on the planet. That's what he thinks in his mind. And he's telling people that, oh yeah, I'm this dominant fighter, and he's calling out all these guys. He's calling out Conor McGregor and Dylan Dennis and KSI and other people as well, like just calling everybody out. And he just thinks that he's on top of the mountain. He thinks he can't be beat. In reality, if you have saw all three of Jake Paul's fights, Jake Paul has fought in guys who, let's be real here, has never fought in their life. I mean, if I had to give you out of the three boxers who kind of gave Jake Paul a chance, was Deji. But even him still couldn't get the job done. Don't even get me started on Anderson Gibb, because Anderson Gibb, with that weird-ass fighting stance he had, and then Nate Robinson, well, let's just say Nate Robinson, again, just never had a chance. So it's crazy to me how Jake Paul, he's fighting all these, he's fighting and he's 3-0, but let's be real, Jake Paul has no credibility when it comes to his fights, because he's not fighting a credible boxer. He's fighting people who've never boxed and has never been in a boxing match in their life. And that is exactly why Jake Paul picked Ben Askren instead of picking someone who's actually boxed before, someone who actually picked up who's been in the ring, because he knows that, Ben Askren is a former MMA fighter, and let's be real, a lot of MMA fighters just can't box. They can't box. MMA and boxing are completely different. I don't know why people try to compare the two, because they are completely different. But since I just mentioned Ben Askren, let me go to Ben Askren. Ben Askren, again, former UFC fighter. He was undefeated. Undefeated. But not only was he undefeated, his first loss came to Jorge Masvidal, which was very infamous because Jorge Masvidal killed Ben Askren with a flying knee in damn near 5 seconds, which is one of the shortest fights in UFC history. And over that, Ben Askren became a meme. So that's obviously, the stuff about Ben Askren. But not only that, Ben actually used to, I think he even won in the Olympics, so someone could correct me. But he was in the Olympics and stuff like that. But again, overall, he was an MMA fighter. And then after the Jorge Masvidal fight, he had one last fight. And then now he's owning his podcast. So he and Jake Paul again are squaring up tomorrow night. You got Snoop Dogg, who's one of my favorites on commentary. That's going to be commentating the match with Pete Davidson. And let me just say something about Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson's not that funny to me. He'll have his moments where he's kind of funny, but overall it's bro, you're not that funny. I really didn't even know who Pete Davidson was until I found out, wait a minute. Not only he's good friends with MGK, but he used to mess around with Ariana Grande. That's if he wasn't messing around with Ariana Grande and wasn't best friends with MGK, I wouldn't know who the fuck Pete Davidson was. Probably because I don't really watch SNL, because it's okay. It's okay. I feel like SNL is a bunch of people who are guys and girls who think they're funny, but they're not, except Kate McKinnon, because she is funny. But I don't want to go on an SNL vent. And by the way, no, I'm not Republican, so don't be in the comments. You're only saying that because you're a conservative. Just stop. But I'm getting off sidetrack here. Who do I think should win the fight? Honestly, I would love to see Ben Askren win. And no, before you little 5-year-old Jake Paulers come into the comment section, you only want Ben Askren to win because you don't like Jake Paul. You can't stand Jake Paul. You just said it yourself. Well, that's right. You're right. I can't stand Jake Paul. I believe that Jake Paul has actually kind of ruined the sport of boxing because he's given boxing a bad name. But that's not the only reason. I just feel like with Ben, because Ben has been in the ring with ferocious guys. And, Ben has, he's taken a punch before, okay? Nah, he may not be that good at striking, obviously. Even in his MMA career, he was a very poor striker. That's why he mostly wrestled. But I still give him a chance over Jake Paul because even though he hasn't been in a boxing ring, at least Ben can say, well, I've been in the fight game for years, man. I have experience. And again, with Jake Paul, I just feel like I want Jake Paul to get knocked out because I kind of Jake Paul needs to get humbled. He needs to get wakened up. He needs to get knocked out so he can finally realize, holy shit, maybe I'm not as good as I say I am. Maybe I'm not on the A side. Or maybe I don't fucking know. He surrounds himself with yes men, by the way, who will tell him everything that he wants to hear, which is kind of ironic because I think it was 2019 when his brother Logan Paul fought KSI and Jake Paul was fucking crying because he felt like that Logan Paul had a bunch of yes men around. And I say that's ironic because, again, this time around, Jake Paul pretty much has yes men around. So, yeah, man. So, what I think now, how Ben's going to win, I'd probably say in about maybe the 7th, 8th round, maybe. I really wouldn't say he'll knock Jake out, But I feel like Jake's going to be coming at him swinging and shit. And he's going to get tired because Ben's going to be, doing his shit. And then that's where Ben is going to take advantage. And that's where Ben, either gets the TK or a knockout or just wins by split decision. But honestly, man, if Jake wins, I hope he doesn't fucking win. If he wins, I don't know. It fucking sucks. So, Ben, we're counting on you, okay? Like, not just the MMA community, but the boxing community. I'm counting on you. Everybody is counting on you because nobody wants to see Jake Paul win unless you're a fucking Jake Pauler, which is just... If you're a Jake Paul, how are you a Jake Pauler fan? Like, seriously, how can you like Jake Paul? This guy, I don't know. But anyways, that is my predictions for the fight. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like, and this has been the Kid DC Wrestling. I'll be back again later on tonight, Friday Night SmackDown. And then tomorrow night, I will be making a video if Jake wins or loses. Hopefully he fucking loses. But either way, I will be doing a review on that. Well, my reaction to that. This has been the Kid DC Wrestling. And so, yeah.